Hi, everyone. Good afternoon. Thank you for your time today. The reason we're doing today's particular masterclass is because of a lot of queries that we keep getting. It could be from wives, it could be from husbands, it could be from children of the family as well. How do you cultivate happiness and great health in a family life? Some of you may be single on this call. Some of you may be divorced. Some of you may be in broken relationships. And that really doesn't matter. Because when we talk about family, it doesn't have to mean that you're only married, right? You still have a family of maybe siblings, you have a family where your parents are there, so the whole point is it is finally about you, the decisions that you make and how you complement it with your partner, with your children, and with everyone else. Because the whole point is today people are looking externally for validation. People are looking for ideas to make them happy. Whereas when you look within yourself, you already know right now what makes you happy, what makes you sad, and why you're not happy and why you're still sad. So the whole point of today is to realize that there are certain things that we can do to cultivate health into the family and happiness. Why I talk about health and happiness is, again, because when we are of good health, we can enjoy everything that nature's given us, what we have, what we built, our family. But when we're sick, it's very difficult to enjoy these things because we're not at that vibrational level to enjoy everything because the body is vibrating at a very low energy while we're sick. But as we start to get better and as we don't lose hope or a sense of purpose, we are going to get healthy again in most cases. And then happiness and health are both connected. I know people today who have billions of dollars, but they've lost their health. They cannot enjoy the billions of dollars. I know people who live in comfortable homes, luxurious mansions, and they have fabulous mattresses flown in from Germany and from Sweden, but they can't even use that because they have so much of back pain that they need to sleep on the ground on a hard surface. I know people who have access to chefs in their own kitchens, but they can't eat most of the foods because they have gut issues. So you see, the irony of life is if we don't focus on balance, at some point we may appear to have a very envious life because we have more than others. But when you always look, the grass always seems to be greener on the other side. But I've never really believed that statement because life has taught me through my own personal journey and through the journey of my own clients that the grass is as green as you want to make it where you are right now. So I can always look around and say, oh, I want to move to New York. I want to move to Australia. It looks so great. The lifestyle's so great. It seems green on the other side. But where you are right now, can you water the grass that you're standing on? Can you make the grass where you are green as well? And there is a possibility because many people realize it's a dream. And I have people who have migrated for 5 years. They're like stressed out about their migration papers. They finally go to Canada, New York, US, Australia. Now they have a new set of problems. Oh, but we don't have this. And we don't have this. And this was better in India. And that was better in India. So the whole point is we don't want to live a life, okay, aspiring something outside of us all the time. It's good to have ambition, but that robs us of our happiness. So if I'm always constantly, I'll only be happy when my migration papers come in. I'll only be happy when I lose that weight. I'll only be happy when my disease goes away. I'll only be happy when my daughter or my son becomes a doctor or an engineer or whatever. I'll only be happy when someone gives me a compliment. Well, you're going to go on waiting throughout your life. And that's the bitter, ugly truth. So the whole topic today is cultivating health and happiness in your family. Because look around us today. We have more access to education. Parents can put their kids in great schools, all of that stuff. We have tuition classes. We can send our kids to summer camp, winter camp, and all of that stuff. But what's at its highest? Unhappiness, greed, the want to do drugs, the want to binge on alcohol, vices. When we have so much, why do we need so much more? Because the point is, it is not the answer to happiness. It is not the answer. What we think having more friends isn't the answer to happiness. Having a few friends, but who are the right friends, is what your answer to happiness is. Having access to so much of food and variety, we think it makes us happy, but it's only disguising us from the voids that we have in our life. At the end of the day, the human body needs simple food. It needs simple food. We can have fancy food once in a way, but if we need fancy food every single day, we are filling up a void. But we disguise it by saying, oh, I'm a foodie. You're a foodie because you have options now, because you have options, right? And the more and more options human beings have, the more and more variety they want for everything because it's dopamine. Everything stimulates dopamine like a video game. You move from level 1 to level 2. Now you want to reach level 10, dopamine. We tried one restaurant today. Now we want to try something else and another and another. I'm not saying this is wrong, but if this has become your life, there is no way that you can really understand true happiness and true health, and nor can you cultivate it in your family. Imagine a family that's trying to raise children. You want them to have balanced food, home cooked food, all of that stuff, but you're constantly ordering in from outside. Their taste buds are getting addicted. It's convenient. It's definitely tastier than home food because of all the added oil and the extra salt and the hidden sugars. But you want to teach your children to be healthy, but you're not creating an environment or a culture in your family for them to be healthy. And that's why we're talking about this topic today. Before we move any further, there is no motivation in today's talk. It's all inspiration. I want you to inspire yourself to understand that it is you or y'all as parents or children who are responsible for the health and happiness of your lives and your family. Period. You can't outsource that. You can't. It is simplest thing is, oh, my kid has a problem, send him to the shrink. I don't have a problem with the shrink, but what is the involvement of the parent as well? While the shrink is good enough, but doesn't the environment, maybe at home or outside of home or in the school or in your social circle or in your child circle, also have to change? So the whole point is, number one, you need to establish right now before we even move ahead that you, me, our bodies, we are gifts of life. If you don't agree to that, you should drop off right now. If you're thinking of some airy-fairy stuff, no, it doesn't exist. You are a gift of life. Your child is a gift of life. Your parents are a gift of life. This gift of life is nature's intelligence. You can call it God, spirituality. I'm not going to get into that, but it's a gift of life. If you abuse the gift of life, your own vehicle that gets you through every single day, you're always going to have problems. It means right there that you are ungrateful for a gift of precious life. And life is precious, right? You don't want to die. That's why you want your kids to be healthy. You want everything because you want to live. Life is precious. Never forget that. You're a gift of life. Your child is a gift of life. Anything to abuse that gift of life constantly, you are being ungrateful to a gift of life. What you're ungrateful for, I don't have to say anything further. We have so many people who maintain gratitude journals every single day, but they're abusing their bodies, their health with poor food, overtraining, undertraining, emotional distress, sleep deprivation, all of that stuff. But they're trying to be grateful for other things in life. You're breaking the connection. And that's why a lot of people struggle to feel grateful. They struggle to feel grateful. Just being grateful for you as a gift of life is the first strongest form of gratitude. Then from there, you are inspired to look after this gift. I can't be eating junk food every day. I can eat it sometimes, but I also have to eat other food that the gift of life requires. Then you will be inspired to work out because you know a sedentary lifestyle is abusing the gift of life. So now you'll inspire yourself to walk, do yoga, lift weights, dance, play a game, whatever it is. Sleep. You know sleep is medicine. You know without sleep, you'll be dead. The human body, the gift of life, requires sleep for its own maintenance process every single night. But you're taking it away from the gift of life, you're degrading the gift of life, you're devaluing it. It's not going to work for you after a while. And then you have your own emotional wellness, where we are given a brain, we're given a consciousness, we're given a state of awareness, we're given a heart. We've given, all of this to enjoy what we have around us, whether it's nature. We don't have to have too much, we can have a little bit. How we make the most of it is very important. But now we get stressed out. He has that, I don't have that. She looks like this, I don't look like that. Again, we're rejecting the gift of life at every level. You look at yourself in the mirror and you say, I hate myself. Let me put some makeup on. Oh, now I like myself. I don't have a problem with makeup. I have a problem with the intention behind makeup. If you're using it because you hate yourself. The same thing for guys. It's not just about women. You're trying to build your body only because you don't accept who you are inside. Build your body to look great, but don't build your body to think that that's a disguise for me liking myself better because you can't change or you don't want to accept who you are. Everyone trying to be who they're not is a subconscious, unconscious, and conscious rejection of the self. You are a unique gift, but you're trying to be like someone else. What is that? Rejection. It's like you tell your kids, oh, don't copy those behaviors of people, be original. Of course, because they have unique gifts. If we don't recognize the unique gifts in ourselves and in our kids, okay, they don't feel accepted. You don't feel accepted. So you now want to build something around you, inside of you, either in the way you dress, think, show your wealth, show how you are, your fast car, all whatever it is that you use with the wrong intention, you're rejecting yourself. And in that process of being someone else, you're always miserable because you have to constantly expend so much of energy to maintain a facade that isn't you. But the easiest thing to be is yourself, is yourself. So that's something when it comes to happiness. First, what is your definition of happiness? Most people don't even know that. They don't even know that. Your definition of happiness, number one, is your homework. But the few points that I want to bring up today is happiness is not a permanent state. It is not a permanent state. Even the sickest patient who will feel horrible because maybe he or she's terminally ill. Maybe the doctor said you have 6 months left to live. That's the most depressing news that you can get. But amidst that, the patient is still able to find happiness. That is the true definition of happiness. Amidst our struggles, amidst our negatives, amidst our hurt, amidst what we have and what we don't have, we have something that can still make us happy. That is the definition of happiness. So when you equate your weight with happiness, you're always miserable. You can try to lose weight because you want to lose weight and want to look good. There's nothing wrong with that, but you don't equate your happiness with that. When you equate your happiness with money, with how successful you are at work, with how many friends you have, you're always miserable because that's always going to change. But you can have intentions over there, but you still have these solid things that no matter what I have, what I don't have, these few things make me happy. It's my dog, it's my daughter, it's my wife, it's my husband, it's a book that I like to read, it's a song that I like to listen. You need to have these little things that you can linger in. So happiness is being able to focus on the things that are going well for you, the things and the people that mean to you, even though you are amidst struggles, pain, hurt, betrayal, loss, whatever it is. That is the true definition of happiness, not what social media is trying to show you. Social media is trying, everyone's sad and depressed because they see other people's lives on social media, which is only happy, 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 happy. You think everyone on social media is happy? Absolutely not. They're like you and me. They have good days, good moments, bad moments. But it's become a place for validation. Because I'm sad, I need validation from the world with the likes, with the comments. So I only put the best part of my life to feel good about myself. That is called validation. If you need to constantly look at validation to feel happy, that is not happiness, and you will never be happy. Never. So we focus on beyond that. And this is where the culture of health and family and lifestyle all comes together, because this encourages you to look for hobbies, passions, little things, simple things that can give you joy, bring a smile to your face, and make you happy amidst what is happening. When we look at the science of happiness, so I've been speaking regularly. I got introduced 2 months ago to a professor at Stanford who runs a course on happiness and compassion. It is the course that gets sold out in the first minute of opening every single year. It's an expensive course. It's a 1-year course. So while talking to this professor, I said, sum it up for me. You know, out of all your research, he's spoken to every spiritual leader from the Dalai Lama to you name it, to understand all of this put together. What are those core points of happiness? And here it is. I'll give you those particular points. Number one, build memories. The more memories you have in life, the days you're stuck amidst problems and struggles, those memories will keep you going. When you're on your deathbed, I always give the story. My cancer patients, what do they talk about when they're dying? They don't talk about who they were, whether they were a CEO, whether they owned a Rolls Royce, whether they flew in a private jet, whether they had 10 girlfriends or 10 boyfriends. They don't talk about that. They talk about memories. They talk about love. They talk about gestures that people did for them. This is what people who are dying talk about. This is the essence of life. So to move forward, make memories, whether it's with children, memories, things that make you feel so warm. They warm your heart. These are memories that we collect. Everyone, fine, you're out of a relationship. Number one, whoever told you love has to last forever? Who? Poems, the books, that's crap. We're not entitled to love lasting for a lifetime. If we have that, we're lucky. We're very lucky. We're very blessed. Be grateful every second of the day that you have that. But whoever said love has to last forever? So now what happens is when you lose love, you become hostile. You become bitter, you become resentment. But when you really go back, and I make a lot of my clients go back to that relationship where they got hurt, And I say, while you take the pain, yes, you're right. He shouldn't have done that. She shouldn't have done that. Now, also talk about the memories that you all built. And then they start talking about all that. We did this and we did that, and this was beautiful, and they're smiling and stuff like that. So we can still take away the memories from that. But because now we've labeled the person, we've engulfed ourselves in grief and hatred and resentment and bitterness and guilt, we can't see those memories. But I have people today who still speak about memories from every previous relationship. And there's nothing wrong with that, because those moments were real in your life. Maybe they didn't stay forever, but nothing lasts forever. You should know that right now. The love that your child gives you right now will change at every phase of your life. Doesn't mean they won't love you, but the degree, intensity, and the expression of love is going to change. The same way you as adults, your expression of love for your parents will constantly change as well. When you were a teenager, you would have found yourself being more rude to them, being more defiant to them. As you moved into a mature adult, that changes, and everyone's expressions of love change, because nothing lasts forever. So I'm trying to break perceptions for you right now, because this is real. I'm trying to break the feeling of entitlement. Because I give love, I should get love. Ideally, that's how we would like it to work, but it doesn't have to be that way, because it's a completely different person with a different childhood, a different teenage, company, society, shaped with different values, different feelings, different ways of expressing love. So what gives you the right to think that another person should give you what you want, when you want, and how you want it? But now, knowing that, we can build an understanding, compassion, tolerance. But if we're with our ego, nothing's ever going to work in any relationship. Between your kids, your parents, siblings, boyfriend, girlfriend, wife, husband, doesn't matter. Similar sex partner as well, doesn't matter at all. So coming back, the second thing after memories was giving back. We can cultivate happiness when we learn to give back. You don't have to write fancy checks. You don't have to give money. Give your time. Whatever skill you have, use it. If you attended my session yesterday on finding purpose in life, you would have learned a lot about the power of giving back and how it makes us the happiest. How many of you feel so good, that warm feeling in your heart, when you've been able to genuinely help someone? No matter what it is, you've been able to give something to someone, a smile, your time, listening, whatever it is. You made a painting for someone, they love it, they put it up on their wall. How do you feel? Giving back brings us true happiness. And that's why I advise people, families, build a culture of giving back in your families. Go for all the holidays you want, but one weekend every 3 months, take your child to an NGO or welfare home where you can even do one hour of voluntary work. It should be ingrained in your family. You as parents, your children, make it a culture that this is part of it. Like everything else that's already a routine in your family is made because you constantly do it. Add this as well. You can do it once a week, once a month. I don't care. Once a year, even once a year. I have family friends in New York, and every birthday in the family, the entire family celebrates it at an NGO. And I think it's a beautiful thing of building routine. They also do it on other days. But the understanding in the family is we will celebrate our morning at the NGO, and in the evening, we'll have our birthday party and our friends will come. So the family's grown up with a culture of giving back ingrained in their learning and in their process of evolving. Giving back gives us true happiness. I've not found a single person till date who can deny that. Next, simple cultivating habits of forgiveness, understanding. You have to understand. You have to understand. Now, I'm being upfront honest with you. I put myself in the shoes of a lot of people. Like, we have clients who come to us who were molested at the age of 4 and 5, sexually abused, raped by uncles, aunts, drivers, and their own family, sometimes parents, father, mother, all of that stuff. And, they say, Luke, we can't forgive them. And I don't know how I would do it either. So I'm not talking about that for everything else, because I don't have an answer for you. I know it's possible. And when I speak to some of the spiritual only to find your own freedom and your own peace. Maybe the process will take 1 year, 2 years, 3 years. But for everything else, the small little things, the things that, a lover hurt us, something went wrong, you felt betrayed, you felt cheated, all of that stuff, we need to make an attempt to forgive, because our happiness depends on that. So again, I'm not preaching to you, but my point is, it is important for us to understand. And sometimes what motivates or inspires me to forgive? Because I know the Bible says it, the Vedas says it, the Quran says it. Every holy literature says one thing. If you are forgiven, you must forgive. It's as simple as that. And I've been forgiven many, many times. And I know I'll continue to be forgiven many, many times. And because of that grace which is bestowed on me, when I find myself in a difficult position to forgive someone, I just remember that. And I say, who am I not to forgive when I've been forgiven? So this is my personal story. My story doesn't have to become yours, but that's what inspires me to forgive, no matter how bad it is, how easy it is, how difficult it is. So forgiveness brings us happiness. I love the next word. It's called understanding. Understanding is such a beautiful word. When people in interviews say, Luke, what's your definition of love? I know it very clearly. My definition of love is understanding. When I feel understood, I feel loved. When I can extend understanding to someone else and they realize they feel loved and I feel loved even more, and I feel like loving them. The point is, understanding is everything. Because you see, without understanding, there is always conflict, difference of opinions, there's friction, there's resistance. But when you sit down and understand why your partner is like this, why your child did this, it's very, very easy to shout at a child, why do you do this? How could you do this? This is not the way I brought you up and all that stuff. Sit down and understand. The child may just say something as simple as, I just felt like doing it because it made me happy. Understanding, you calm down. Otherwise, you're running on your own authority, with your own aggressiveness, from your own belief systems. But sometimes there is always a reason. And sometimes when there's no reason, there's an apology. Yes, I know I was wrong. I'm sorry. And when you understand that, okay, sometimes it's okay to display our weakness. I was being weak over there. I did this. I'm sorry. This is who I was in that situation. I'm trying to change. The word understanding is beautiful. It's amazing how many couples want to complain about their partners or complain about their kids, or the kids want to complain about their parents. But there's no place for understanding. But imagine you create a space of understanding where you hear everyone's driving trigger of that behavior or what they've done. Now, whether you accept it or not, this is not about you becoming a doormat. Okay, so you may have a partner who says, oh, I do this because this. I smoke because I do drugs because I want to feel good, because I don't feel appreciated. I had a bad childhood. Understanding. It doesn't mean you have to accept that person. You draw your boundaries. Okay, I'm sorry, maybe you have one more chance, but these are my boundaries and it doesn't work for me. I understand you, but this won't work for both of us. So maybe we can't be together. So with understanding, the understanding doesn't make you a doormat. Understanding allows you to draw boundaries and allows you to choose your freedom as well. So I think the power of understanding is beautiful when it comes to happiness. You got to create in that culture of health and happiness in your family a space for understanding. Hobbies and passions was the next thing on the happiness list. Try to find a hobby, no matter how small or how big it is. Try to find a passion. You don't have to make the passion your life. You can still work a job and have a passion on the side, but that brings you happiness. Whenever you have something to look forward to, a hobby or a passion, that brings you happiness. Health is part of that course. If you are healthy, you can be happier. If you're emotionally healthier, you're happier. Physically healthier, you're happier. So we encourage people to look after their health and lifestyle. Sense of purpose. When we have a sense of purpose, we have a reason to get up every day. We have a reason to move on through the difficulties of life. That sense of purpose keeps me going. Fine, it was a bad day, but this is my sense of purpose. Keep moving forward. You get inspiration from a sense of purpose. Humility, acceptance, and letting go. Again, beautiful words. Everyone today, everyone's stress comes from a state of resistance. People really don't have problems in life. People have problems that they're resisting. At this point in my life, does Luke have problems? I have a ton of problems in my life, but it's not stressful for me because I'm really not resisting most of them. And when I feel uncomfortable, I think of, okay, which problem or which person am I resisting? Because that resistance brings unhappiness, stress, aggravation, and everything else with it. So humility, acceptance, and letting go. Acceptance and letting go. Easy words to say, difficult to put into practice. Why? Because of the ego. Why should I let it go? Why should I accept this? I did this. He didn't do that. Well, the ego makes you feel good about yourself, but you're still miserable. So every time you've resisted something, the ego feels good, but you feel miserable. You're still the same miserable person at the end of the day. Only your ego feels good, and that's temporary. So acceptance and letting go. What you can control, give your 500%. what you cannot control or who you cannot control, accept or let go. The choice is yours. Now, coming back into the next step of building culture. I have a lot of people today in social media, oh, you don't have to sacrifice anything, self-love. You don't need to sacrifice. What about you? What about yourself? All great. I'm all for self-love. I'm all for you care. I'm all for all of that stuff. But let me tell you a bitter, ugly truth right now. If you are in a family, if you are in love, if you are raising children, if you are parents or you are a kid, sacrifice is part of your life. And you should not resist it. You should not resist it. Today, let me give you examples. We have women who are, look, I'm getting pregnant, but I want to sign up for your weight loss program. 9 months later, all of this I need to do. I said, what is your intention? To have a child? Focus on the journey. You will lose your weight at that point. But right now, your intention is wrong. Don't have a baby if you're already so concerned about how fast you lose your weight, because you're bringing additional stress in your body right now. The point is, people don't want to sacrifice. If you're going to be a parent right now, you know the truth. You are going to have to make sacrifices. If you don't want to make those sacrifices, it's okay. It's okay. But don't be a parent. Don't be a parent. It's not fair to you. It's not fair to your child, period. If you're accepting, and now you can weigh the degree of sacrifice that you want to make. It's the same thing. Well, let's say you're not a parent and you don't have kids. When your parents grow old, you are going to have to make sacrifices if you truly want to be there for them. Your parents mostly would have made sacrifices for you as well. Sacrifice is not a negative word. You need to understand, to win something, you got to lose something. You may have the ideal partner in your life today. You won that ideal partner. Someone else lost that ideal partner who they loved. You got it. The student who stands first in class won something. The student who stood second lost the first position. That is how life is. Okay, we all want to make this self-righteous, beautiful life and, get completely complicated and entangled in this airy-fairy world. That's not your truth. Look around in nature. I explained it on my yesterday video. Look around in nature. The process of living and dying is right in front of you. You'll find weeds, wrapping around other plants, squeezing them for nutrition. You'll have some flowers that are beautiful, some that are ugly, some that die before they've even blossomed. You'll find green leaves on the tree. Tomorrow they're on the ground. 4 days later, they're brown, and then they're decomposed and gone. It's the same with human life. Stop trying to hide behind a facade of everything being perfect. You will have to make sacrifices because everyone who's winning, someone is losing. And when you're losing, someone is winning. And that is when we choose mindfully what sacrifice. So we have, oh, but what about me? I need to party. I need to go out on the weekend. What about me? Choose it. That's your choice. The point is, whatever choice you make, remember, you are responsible for the consequences. You're responsible for the consequences of that decision. You do what you want. I'm not here to judge anyone. But my point is, whatever decisions we all make, you and me, we are responsible for the consequences. So if we are not going to take responsibility for the consequences, you better think very, very carefully about the decisions that you're making. So sacrifice is a beautiful thing. Sacrifice gives meaning to life. Sacrifice in religion and spirituality exists. It exists in such a beautiful way, but the world makes us see it as negative because it's made us selfish. But what about me? What about you? What about you? What about your kid? What about your dad? What about your mom? What about your sibling? What about your servant at home? What about your driver? That's where compassion comes in. So yes, we can choose to make sacrifices and teach our children to also make sacrifices. If you don't teach them to make sacrifices, I'll tell you the biggest problem that we have today. The complaining parents in their 35s, 40s, 50s. I did so much for my child and today he doesn't even do this. He doesn't even want to talk to me. He comes home and shuts his doors and plays video games and stuff like that. The point is, did you teach your children to make sacrifices? Or did you put a spoon in their mouth, a golden spoon or a silver spoon, and spoil them through their entire childhood? You didn't punish them. You didn't discipline them. You didn't teach them a balance of life. They've not learned it. So they are behaving the way they were brought up right now. Now you can't expect them to make sacrifices. So when we make sacrifices, we also teach our children sometimes to make sacrifices. It's like a simple story. You've taken out your child for ice cream and you're coming back home. See a poor kid on the road, you stop the car and make your child give that ice cream to them. You can still buy your child another ice cream, but you're teaching them a lesson right then. Sacrifice, that child doesn't have it. And involve your child in that decision. In most cases, the child will hold on to the ice cream. It is, if I was a child, I would do that. But then you explain, give it to them. We can get another one. This child may have not had an ice cream for we don't know how long, maybe never had an ice cream. The child realizes a lesson is learned, a value is created, a memory is built. Whether you give that child an ice cream or not later, your own child, is up to you. But the point is, there is a life lesson of sacrifice right there. So these are little things that we need to do. Now understand, all spirituality is useless, all useless. It's all a fad. If you can't respect the gift of life, which is number one, your vehicle. Everything else is crap. But spirituality becomes real when you start with honoring yourself, because you're a spiritual being. When I can honor myself, now I can take the next step of spirituality. But if you don't honor yourself, respect yourself, look after yourself, everything else you're doing for others is honestly out of your own voice. So it all starts off from there. Now, let's move into the culture of health in the family. It's very simple. I'm not going to preach about diets today. I'm not going to preach about exercise programs. I am talking about fundamentals for health and happiness in a family. If you're an engineer, you will understand that there are certain fundamentals. The fundamentals can never change. You can add AI, you can add complication, that's all good, but the fundamentals can never change. Fundamentals are like laws, like the law of gravity. You throw an apple up, it is going to come down again. No matter how much you overthink it, how much you try to pray for it not to come down, it's a law, the apple will fall down. Like that, we need to understand that there are fundamentals. Today, people bring complication in their life. Luke, give me a list of superfoods. I don't mind spending so much of money. I ask them one question. How of your meals are on time? Oh, no, I don't have time to eat my meals on time. Do you eat your food fast? Oh, no, I eat it really fast. I know I should chew, but I don't have time. Your superfoods don't matter. What matters are first get the fundamentals right. So when we break down health in the family today, there are 4 pillars. When it comes to nutrition, it's very simple. Number one, if you're a family, try to have your meals together. If you can't have all your meals together, which one meal of the day can you have together as a family? Number 2, slow down and eat your meals. Number 3, bless your food with gratitude before and after. Every time you do this as the head of your family, your children are seeing this. You're teaching them a value. You're not preaching to them. You're blessing your food. Your child sees it. Your child will follow. So you're blessing your food. Have you ever wondered in countries like Ethiopia, in countries like Africa, where starvation is at its highest and kids are probably living and parents are living on the worst quality junk food, but they're still surviving and they're still healthy in many, many ways besides being malnourished. They eat their food with gratitude. They will be looked after. The point is today we can have the fanciest meal and we can be ungrateful because it was not placed well in front of us. The microgreens were in the corner, something's wilting on your plate. Such ungratefulness, we eat food and that changes the energy of the food and it changes the energy within us. The simple things of life. I can have junk food in front of me, but I will eat it with gratitude. I will bless it. I will be grateful for it. I won't eat with disgust. Oh no, I'm eating this. I got to call up my nutritionist tomorrow. Let me get on a treadmill and burn this. So much ungratefulness. And that's why people plateau when it comes to their health goals. When it comes to nutrition, it's simple. I'm not against junk food. I'm against the fact that 90% of your diet is junk food and you're teaching your children that it's okay because you think it's okay. The point is 90% of your food should be natural. The balance 10%. How do I do it in my family? Ideally, it works out most of the time. Sometimes it fails. So there is no sugar and junk between Monday and Friday. Saturday and Sunday, you're allowed to choose a treat. So it's a culture now. Now, sometimes if my daughter says, oh, Dad, it's Wednesday, I feel like having this. Go ahead and have it. You sacrifice Saturday. But now it's become a process. So she's involved in planning. We're involved in planning. And we do it as a family, that we won't have sugar Monday to Saturday. And sometimes we break it all together and we'll say, it's okay, it's once in a way. But involve all of your family members in making these rules. If you're that one family member trying to instill health in your family, you're going to fail right now. That's when you're going to hire us to be the neutral party to bring that discipline into your family. But it's not necessary. Everyone should be involved. We as a family are creating a culture of health. Now let's break it down. Involve your kids. Tell them. It's not about telling your kids, don't drink Coca-Cola, don't eat sugar. It's about explaining to them why it's not good for you. Give them the why. The more you tell your kid, don't do this, they'll want to do it. You tell me, don't do these 10 things, I'll want to do these 10 things. It's like that. But the point is, you involve them in the process. I've shown YouTube videos to my kids, cousins, all of that stuff, and even some of my clients' children of what happens in a Nutella factory. What happens here? When they see it, they're like, yuck. They may still eat it, but they're eating with awareness. They talk about it. It's ingrained in them. So it's very important that you build a culture by involving all family members. You don't want to be the preachy wife or the preachy husband or the preachy girlfriend or boyfriend. Oh, do this, it's good for your health. Involve. And that's why, again, before you get married, if you are planning to get married, before you get into a serious committed relationship, okay, the things to talk about are these things. Is your partner aligned with this? If you don't like smoking, but your partner's a smoker, at some point it's going to get to you. Right now you're in love, the chemistry is high, everything's good, the sex is good. You're gonna overlook these little things. But once you start to live with your partner, spend more time, you're going to try to change your partner because you don't like smoking. You don't like the smell of it. Your partner's going to say, I'm going to continue smoking. I don't care what you do, because you've not set or drawn your boundaries. It is so important in a time like today that couples, before taking the next step or even having children, discuss every single point. What you like, what you don't like, what's okay, what's not okay. Imagine yourself getting married in a family that doesn't care about health, but you're health conscious. There is going to be conflict. It is going to become a toxic environment. The whole point is, now, communication is important before that. But now what happens if you're already in that situation? Still, communication is your answer. You, instead of preaching, need to get the family together. Listen, all of us need to be concerned about our health. All of us need to do this. So as a family, let's start off with 1 or 2 rules that we can make to improve our overall health. In most cases, communication works. Sometimes you're unfortunately stuck in a family or a situation where it just doesn't matter. But we're not talking about that right now. We're talking about possibilities. So talk, involve people. Don't preach, involve people. Your partner, your kids may say, no, I don't want to do 5 days of sugar-free. Can we start off with 3 days? Good, start off with 3 days. Then maybe make it 4 days. But involve people. Do not preach and lead by example. Lead by example. If you're teaching your kids that alcohol's bad, smoking's bad, but every weekend you have a party, your friends are over, everyone's drinking and smoking, I don't even have to say anything further than that. What are you teaching your kid? Be honest about it. The point is, you can't preach and show something else. It's never going to build any culture in your family. So you got to talk, know your health, your partner's goals, health goals, all of these things, because you can't change your partner after that. You don't have the right to. A lot of people, a lot of women and men, they notice these bad habits in their partners, but they feel that, oh, because my partner loves me, I'll be able to change him. I'll be able to change her. You're no one to change them, and you're always going to fail. Very few people may do it, or your partner just start doing it behind your back, going out and smoking, going out and drinking, because they don't want to be nagged anymore. The point is, that is why communication is important. Now, sometimes couples, they're both smoking, but as they move into relationships, everyone's constantly evolving. One partner may suddenly decide that smoking isn't good for me. Okay, so you stop smoking, but now you want your partner to stop smoking as well. So conflict starts again. What solves it? Understanding. There are 2 partners, both of them are evolving. If one partner is not evolving and the other partner is evolving, what do I have now? I have a gap. In that gap is conflict, intolerance, and negativity and everything else. To keep that gap peaceful, there has to be understanding that, okay, I've decided to change. It's easier for me. Maybe my partner's struggling. Maybe I should just back off for a while and accept him or her the way he is or she is. Just because you've suddenly been enlightened to stop smoking or be someone else or become spiritual doesn't mean your partner has to change. You can try to involve them. You can try to communicate. But anything other than that is going to be conflict. So when it comes to nutrition, simple. Whole natural foods. Meal timings on time with the family, gadgets off. So many parents, look, my child watches iPad when eating. Why? Because you allowed them to. Because you allowed them to. Now go back and say, Wi-Fi off when we're having our meals. You can't have the husband, oh, I'm checking out the stock market, it's very important for me. Leave the table and go and do it. But at the dining table, there are no gadgets. There is no TV, and that's how you're going to build a new behavior in the family. Otherwise, you can keep complaining, oh, all kids today watch iPads. No, all kids don't, because there are several families that don't allow it. So it is possible. So many people in society keep talking, oh, children today are all spoiled, they need gadgets. Don't forget that the parents spoiled them. And you can still undo it if you're willing to sacrifice. if you're willing to go through the anger and the tantrums that your child puts, because you're now taking away something that you gave them. But that's how you teach them discipline. So when it comes to nutrition, slow eating, teach your kids to bless your meals. You bless your meals, no gadgets, natural foods. Remember, food is not a cost. Food is an investment. If you try to buy the cheapest oil, the cheapest chocolates, the cheapest ingredients, and all of that stuff, you are going to have health problems at some point. Health is an investment. It is not a cost. And if you're trying to make nutritional changes in your family, practice what you preach. Lead by example. So you don't cook separate meals. Now, let's say we have a lot of people on diet programs and they come and say, Luke, I'm trying to do the diet, but my whole family's eating all of this. The best way, encourage. So today, if your mom's sick, your dad's sick, child is sick, and they need to be on a specific diet, you know how motivating and inspiring it is going to be for that patient when you say, all of us will eat this way to support this particular member of my family. So they will do it, you will do it, and you slowly start making changes. When we make changes for our patients after 3 months, the patient says, look, my entire family today eats this oil, this salt, this. There are so many changes happening. So the point is, that's how we be. A family is together. A family does things together. We don't oppose one another. Oh, you're on a diet. I don't want to eat your crappy food. I'm going to eat this. One day you'll be the patient as well. So the point is, there's always scope for understanding. It all goes back to understanding. So that's nutrition. What about movement? Forget the word exercise. How do you get more movement? I'm not here to preach to you that your kids should not be on the iPad and play video games. If they are, where are you making movement and exercise time in their life? So simple. If it's 2 hours on the iPad, you need to do half an hour of exercise, play a game. If you want 3 hours on the iPad, it's going to be 1 hour, period, non-negotiable. You negotiate in your businesses. You negotiate in your relationships. You negotiate with your children involved, but you're the parent. Never forget you're the parent. You'll be surprised how many families today, the kids control the parents because the parents don't know how to be a parent. They're scared they'll lose the love of their child. They're scared they'll lose the respect of your child. But when you try to pamper your child too much, you will lose their respect and love at some point when they grow up enough to see your weaknesses. So your job is to be a parent. You make the rules, not your kids. You can involve them, but you make the final rule because you have maturity, you have experience, you have knowledge, and you do have that authority. But today, oh, what does my kid think about this? Your kid's a kid. Your kid has certain decision-making capabilities at that point in their life. Like I said, you can involve them, but who's the parent? Who's the parent? In school, who's the teacher? The child or the teacher? So these are the basics of building a beautiful, beautiful culture. So make exercise and sport time. If your kids see you sitting around the whole day, that's exactly what they're going to do. Lead by example. Weekends plan that. Fine, we're going to have a treat on the weekend, but we start our Saturdays with a family workout. Or everyone does their own workout. To get the treat day, you need to do this. To get the treat weekend, you need to do this. We're going for a holiday, eat what you want, but if you're going to eat what you want, you start your day off with 30 minutes of yoga, or 30 minutes of a walk on the beach, or whatever it is. Involve and build a culture. Now you enjoy your holiday. No one's asking you not to enjoy your weekend, but you are still doing it while immersing and building yourself in an ecosystem of health. That is so important. So as a family, build that down. Let your children also point out to you when you missed your workout, when you're sitting too long. Children love to do that. They like to control. The point is when you involve them, it's beautiful. The culture automatically happens. Automatically happens. So you don't have to make exercise negative. If you keep complaining about it, oh, it's exercise, I hate doing this. What do you think your kids are doing? Your kids see and hear every single thing, and their behaviors are molded by that. So if your kids see you all the time, oh, I hate my body, I'm fat, they start thinking that fat is a bad thing. Their self-worth goes down. By chance, they get fat at some point, their self-worth or their confidence is going to, because they've seen their mom and dad do that. So it is so important. Close the door, go into the bathroom, and then you can be as ungrateful as you want for your body, which is not really helping you. I was being sarcastic. The point is, your children will see what you do. They will see what you do. It is as simple as that. Now, coming back to sleep. Sleep rules, as simple as that. Do what you want, but this is the time we get into bed. This is the time the Wi-Fi goes off. Of course, there are times when you're studying X, Y, Z. That's a small part of your life. The point is, when there are sleep rules, there are sleep rules. Do you want to enjoy your weekend? We get 5 days of good sleep. On time, between 10 and 11, between 9 and 10, between 8:30 and 9:30. It's a family culture. The same way there are rules in school, there are rules in your business that you make for your employees. Why do you make rules for your employees? Because you know there'll be chaos. Indiscipline, if there are no rules. It's the same thing in a family. Family is no different. It needs boundaries and it needs rules. So those are your sleep rules. Now coming to emotions and emotional health. Your children are byproducts of you when it comes to emotional health. So if they see you scared all the time, they grow up scared. If they see you speaking negatively about the government and politics and all of that stuff, what do you think you're instilling in them? You have your feelings, keep them to yourself. It is so important that the words that you use, the statements that you make are power. They can destroy, they can create, they can make someone sad, they can make someone happy. It is so important that we don't force our opinions and our emotions on our children. It is very, very important to understand. So build a culture of meditation in your family or just sitting in silence. I've built this over the last 2 months. My daughter has to do 10 minutes every single day of yoga and silence. She can do one asana and sit silent. She can do what she wants, but she got to sit silent. Because now she's of the age where she learns some music on the iPad and stuff like that. So I'm going to give her that privilege to do it. But she needs to give something back so she understands I'm doing this so that I'm mindful when I'm on the iPad. Mindfulness is everything. Your kids can be on social media. They are going to be on social media. They are going to be on YouTube. But if they go in with a state of mindfulness, it is way better than someone or a kid on social media or an adult on social media without mindfulness. Now, working parents, today parents are working. It's okay. There's nothing wrong with that, but all the more reasons to communicate and draw boundaries. Because if you are working at the cost of your child, children need security, they need attention, and they need to know that their parents love them. Period. That's it. That's what every child requires. That's what you as an adult requires, right? At the end of it, remove all the layers. That's what every human being wants. A sense of security, a sense of love, and a sense of being looked after or cared for. So no matter how much the parents are working, you all have to discipline yourselves and plan it. And plan it. That fine, I'm making time, you're making time, we're doing this so the child doesn't suffer, period. Otherwise, don't have a child. You're better off. You're not going to feel guilty because the next point is guilt. So many parents, oh, look, I feel guilty. Good, you feel guilty. You should feel guilty if you're not giving your child what they need to grow up to be fantastic human beings. You should feel guilty. But the point is now, how do you overcome the guilt? With action. So working parents can talk, and that's where, again, understanding comes. No male ego, no female ego. Put the ego aside. Doesn't matter who's earning how much. The point is, the goal is how much time can we build for our child. So with understanding and communication, and then involve your child. That's what I tell my daughter because I'm traveling all the time. The daddy needs to travel, I won't be here. But the weekend, we're going to do this. And that's all she needs. All she needs, something to look forward to, something to feel safe in. And that's what's working for me. I'm not going to stop my travel because with experience, I'm learning to balance the whole thing. So that's how we need to do it. We need to work with communication and understanding. So both parents can work. If you're feeling guilty, it's for the right reasons because you're not giving time. And the reason you're feeling guilty is because you know that time should be given to your child. So guilt can be a great teacher. It's useless if you don't move it into action. So make that time. The best thing is to involve your children. Ask them, what do you want to do? What makes you feel happy? What makes you feel loved? What activities make you feel good? And you'll be surprised at the answers you get from your child. It just makes your job easier. So again, communicate even with your children. So as we move towards the end of this thing today, you would have learned that these are a lot of life lessons. One thing in life that you as a parent or an adult or a child has to understand, we're exposed to so much happening in terms of information, content, other people's lives. Someone else's story doesn't have to become your story. My story doesn't have to become your story. Your story doesn't have to become mine. Everyone's living a different story. We're unique individuals. So parents, stop comparing yourself with other people. Stop comparing your kids with other kids and stuff like that. You know, a lot of people on social media, what makes children happy this day? Why the hell are you asking social media? Ask that to your child. Social media is the wrong platform. What makes men happy? What makes women happy? Don't you think the right answer will come from your own partner instead of social media? So my whole point is communication, again, is so important. Just because someone's doing 5 things for their family and it appears that they have the greatest family life, it doesn't mean if you do those 5 things, your family is going to change and have a great life. If there's something you can learn, please take it and use it. But you go inside your family and find out things that are disruptors, things that are working well. You'll be surprised how much you evolve through communication and understanding. I used to feel guilty that I wasn't spending time with my daughter about 3 to 4 years ago. And I used to say, I'll make a whole day. And then one day I asked, I said, okay, 1 hour for you every evening when I come home, and then again, we spend time later. Within 1 hour of quality time, no phone, no calls, nothing, within 10 to 15 minutes of playing, she just ended up going to her desk and doing her own stuff. And I realized I have 45 minutes free for myself. So we always assume that we need to give more and more. Involve your child, involve your partner, involve your family, and say, what makes us happy? What should we do as a family? Understand. Through understanding, you don't overthink. Oh, is my wife going to like this? Is my husband's going to like it? Will this impress my kid? Will this impress my neighbor? No, ask. It's very simple. Ask, communicate, and understand. So involve your kids. Never ask social media these kinds of things at all. The same way we invest in education, you got to invest in health, period. I have children today who are in Harvard, Yale, Stanford, but they've neglected their health throughout because they were only made to study, 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 study. Today, they have autoimmune conditions, eye conditions, all of that. Is the education effective? Yes, but what? At the cost of your health? No. If you can give your kids the best education, do so by investing in their health at the same time. Because at the end of the day, the education may not be that great, but if they're healthy, they can make a life for themselves. So we got to empower our children and ourselves with the right life lessons and the right life skills. With the right life lessons and the right life skills, it's very, very important. Okay, teach your children gratitude every single day. Teach your children gratitude, even if there's something bad happened. Okay, maybe there's a death in the family, everyone's grieving, but teach your children, let's be grateful for this person's life when he was with us. Talk about memories, grieve, talk about that. At least we are all alive as a family. Hug everyone. There is always space for gratitude. There is always space for gratitude. But today we're so mindless that if there's one problem, we only talk about the problem and problem and problem and nothing else. Your children only start to see life as a problem. But when you say amidst that problem, as a family, you sit down in the evening at dinner and say, this was not going well, but what went well in our day today? And everyone talks about one little thing that went well. It's an attitude of gratitude. It changes everything. Teach your children gratitude. Teach them to reflect. Teach them to pray. Pray together as a family. So much of strength. When you make your daughter or your son or son pray and aloud, you'll be surprised at the things they pray for. It's beautiful. Let them hear you pray. So while you pray, you have an opportunity to be grateful. You're asking for something and you're also giving gratitude for the things that you have. Teach them these things. This is a culture of health, emotional, physical, mental, spiritual, intellectual, and it is a culture of happiness as well. Do not shield your kids or yourself. Expose them to the real world. Because let me tell you, your intention may be right. Oh, I want to protect my kid. Do that. Your job is security. But remember, one day they're going to be on their own. And the moment they leave your house to step out in the university or the real world, they are going to find out the reality and they are going to crumble emotionally. They are going to fail. They are going to go into depression. That is what is happening with most kids today. So expose them. You may be able to give them a luxurious life, but expose them to the hardships of life. Expose them to selfishness, expose them to grief, expose them to non-entitlement, expose them to saying no, expose them to punishment. I'm not talking about physical punishment. I'm saying they don't have to always get something when they want it, but you need to, because you're not being mean to them. You're training them to be in the real world. All the time, I love you, I love you, I love you. And they step out in the world and they realize that no one gives a about them. No one loves them. No one cares. Everyone's competitive. Everyone's selfish. Everyone's trying to do their own thing. So suddenly they realize, oh, I have no love in my life. And they go start craving for it. They'll find it in vices. They'll find it in meaningless relationships that even adults do. When they don't get it, they find it in everything meaningless, in vices. So you got to expose them to everything, every single thing, the safe way. Yes, you may be blessed to give them a luxurious life. And you may say, I never had that. I want to give my kid everything. Give them everything, but give them a reality taste as well of life, because you're not going to be there to fight every battle of them. And then you can't have a shrink fighting every battle for them either. I have nothing against shrinks, but my point is, even if they see a shrink, they are still alone in that world facing everything else. They know they have a mommy or daddy back home, but they're in the ring. They're in the arena, and they need to have the life skills, the strength, the courage, the knowing that they can fail, the knowing that they're a speck of dust amongst everyone else. That is how we need to also build a culture of health and happiness in our families. Cut away your emotional baggage. Your past cannot serve you anymore. Easy for me to say, difficult to do, but you got to do it. Reality is reality. Your emotional baggage is only making your life worse, your kid's life worse, and everyone around you worse. Your emotional baggage has to be cut away. Take help, take therapy, do what you want. But if your emotional baggage is making your life better, then please keep it. But if it's not, it is your responsibility to cut it away. It is the growth phase of life. It was at that point. Your past doesn't serve you. Take the mistakes, take the lessons, take the experience, take the memories, and cut it off, because you are only making your life and everyone around you miserable. It is your responsibility to cut away emotional baggage. So life is actually very simple. We either do or we don't do. But the problem is most people are not doing, and they're not doing. They're resisting. When you're constantly resisting, you have all the problems in the world. All the problems in the world. You're constantly resisting a person, a thing, who said what, your past, the future. Release resistance and learn to start flowing with life. Your ego may not like it. Your ego is not your true self, but you start to feel a sense of wholeness. When your kids start to see that, oh, my mom's cool, it's okay, no big deal. Resistance is our biggest curse. Resistance is our cause of happiness, unhappiness. So when we stop resisting, we automatically start to invite happiness in our life. So it is so important for us as we end this video today to understand it is not about that fad diet. It is not about that superfood. It's not about that special trainer. It is not about having a special mattress to sleep on. It is not about meditating for 2 hours in a day or all of that stuff. It is about building a culture. When my environment around me is one that I can thrive in, everything gets better. But if we create a culture where we need to survive, we're always living on the edge. When you're always living on the edge, you're in the sympathetic nervous system, which means stress. Out of stress comes stressful decisions, the wrong decisions, stressful everything. And we know today chronic stress is connected with every single disease. So it all goes back to you. What's your homework? Sit down with your family, reflect. What changes do you need to make? Involve. Start off with 2 or 3 little things. One thing from the fundamental of nutrition, one from exercise, one from sleep, one from happiness and emotional wellness. Agree on it as a family and take it. It'll actually bring you all closer, because now there's a sense of purpose for the family. There's a sense of purpose for each family member. Of course, sometimes you'll have resistance from family members, and because everyone's not the same, but you started, you've tried. And of course, in cases where things are no longer serving you, you've got to make difficult decisions in life, sometimes to get out of a family, to get out of your relationship that's not serving you anymore, whatever. But to make that decision, it should come from a space of clarity, not from a space of emotion. And for that, there must be communication, there must be understanding, and there must be reflection. Have a great evening.